There is a particular kind of woman who can make you feel wanted without ever making you feel certain that you have her. She moves closer, then somehow creates distance without actually leaving. She gives you enough warmth to make you believe there is something real between you, but just enough resistance to make you question whether you imagined the entire thing. And the confusing part is that she may genuinely want you. The problem is not always a lack of attraction. Sometimes the attraction is exactly what makes her harder to reach. Because when a woman feels nothing, she has very little to lose. But when she feels something she cannot completely control, suddenly every step toward you carries a psychological cost. She begins protecting herself from the very thing she secretly wants. You notice it in the way she looks at you when she thinks you are not paying attention. There is interest there, but it is followed by restraint. She can be warm, playful, curious, even emotionally open, and then suddenly something changes. Not because the attraction disappeared, but because she realizes she has revealed more of herself than she intended. That moment matters. Some people are comfortable being desired, but become uncomfortable when they realize they are beginning to desire someone deeply in return. Being wanted gives them control. Wanting someone gives the other person the power to affect them. That is why she may make you work harder than you expected. Not necessarily because she wants to manipulate you, and not necessarily because she believes she is better than you. Sometimes she is unconsciously testing the emotional reality of what is happening. She wants to know whether your interest survives beyond the initial excitement. She wants to feel that you are drawn to her as a person, not simply fascinated by the possibility of possessing her. The distance becomes a filter. Anyone interested only in immediate gratification disappears when access becomes difficult. Someone emotionally invested remains present long enough for her defenses to soften. But there is another layer beneath that resistance, and this is where things become uncomfortable. She may be afraid of what happens after she lets you in. Attraction is easy when it exists inside imagination. You can desire someone without having to expose your insecurities, your expectations, your jealousy, your attachment, or the parts of yourself that become vulnerable when another person actually matters. The closer you get, the less control fantasy provides. Suddenly she is no longer wondering whether you like her. She has to confront what it means if you do. This is why some women become strangely difficult precisely when the connection becomes stronger. At first, everything feels effortless because there is nothing significant to protect. She can laugh with you, flirt with you, enjoy your presence, and leave without feeling emotionally exposed. But once she realizes that your absence would actually affect her, the atmosphere changes. What felt exciting starts feeling dangerous. She wonders how much she has shown, whether she is becoming too attached, whether you have noticed how much she cares, and whether giving you access to her emotions means giving you the ability to hurt her. And that creates the paradox you cannot understand from the outside. She may want you more at the exact moment she becomes harder to reach. You interpret the resistance as rejection because you are experiencing it from the other side. You feel the warmth, then encounter the wall. You see the interest, then feel the hesitation. You experience the closeness, then suddenly encounter distance. Your mind naturally tries to find a simple explanation. She changed her mind, she was never interested, or there must be someone else. But human attraction is rarely that clean. Sometimes the conflict is happening inside the person who is pulling away. One part of her wants to move toward you while another part is desperately trying to maintain control. And control becomes especially important when someone has learned that vulnerability comes with consequences. A woman who has experienced disappointment may not consciously decide to become difficult. She may simply develop a slower emotional rhythm. She needs more evidence before surrendering certainty. She watches what happens when you do not immediately get what you want. She notices whether your personality changes when she creates boundaries. She notices whether your patience is genuine or merely a strategy to eventually gain access. She is not only deciding whether she wants you. She is deciding whether she feels safe wanting you. That distinction changes everything. Because being attracted to someone and trusting that attraction are two completely different experiences. She can feel the pull toward you and still resist acting on it. She can imagine being closer to you while simultaneously convincing herself that she should slow everything down. She can miss your presence and still refuse to make the connection easy. Not because she enjoys watching you struggle, but because emotional surrender can feel like stepping into a room where she cannot predict what will happen next. There is also something deeply psychological about difficulty itself. When something feels immediately available, the mind can consume the experience without fully processing its value. But when access is limited, attention intensifies. Every moment carries more meaning. Every look is remembered. Every interaction becomes something the mind revisits. This does not automatically mean that playing hard to get creates attraction. It means that uncertainty can amplify awareness. When you cannot completely understand where you stand, your mind keeps returning to the unanswered question. And she may be experiencing the same thing. She may be wondering why she thinks about you more than she intended. Why your presence feels different from other people's. Why she notices small things about you. Why she becomes more guarded when the connection feels more intense. The resistance may not be happening because she feels nothing. It may be happening because she feels enough to become cautious. This is where many people make the mistake of trying to force clarity. They want the ambiguity to end immediately. They want certainty because uncertainty is uncomfortable. But emotional tension often exists precisely because two people are standing between desire and vulnerability. One wants to move closer while protecting themselves from the consequences of getting closer. The other wants reassurance while fearing that asking for it will destroy whatever tension exists between them. And so both people begin interpreting each other's defenses as lack of interest. She thinks, if he really cares, he will understand why I need time. He thinks, if she really wants me, she would make it easier. Neither interpretation is necessarily true. Sometimes the woman who seems hardest to have is not trying to make herself valuable. She is trying to understand whether she can trust what she feels. She does not want to give herself completely to a feeling that might disappear tomorrow. She wants the attraction to survive reality. She wants to know that what exists between you is not simply chemistry produced by distance, mystery, or anticipation. She wants to discover whether the connection still feels powerful when it becomes ordinary. That is why the strongest moments are often not the dramatic ones. They are the quiet moments when she lets the barrier fall for a second without realizing it. A softness in her voice. A longer look. An unexpected honesty. A moment where she stops performing indifference and simply exists beside you. Those moments reveal something that resistance cannot hide. She is emotionally present. But then the wall returns. And that return can hurt more than the original distance because now you know there is something behind it. You have seen the person beneath the armor. That is what makes this kind of attraction so addictive. You are not chasing a completely unavailable woman. You are chasing glimpses of someone who is available in flashes and protected in everything that follows. Every moment of closeness becomes evidence that there is something real underneath the resistance. Every retreat makes you want the closeness again. The cycle becomes emotionally powerful because the reward is unpredictable. But eventually, something becomes clear. The real question is not whether she wants you. She might. The real question is whether she can allow herself to want you without turning that desire into a battle for control. Because there comes a point where resistance stops being mystery and becomes fear. There comes a point where hesitation is no longer about discovering your intentions and becomes an inability to tolerate vulnerability. And when that happens, two people can genuinely want each other and still remain separated by the same invisible wall. That may be the most painful truth about attraction. Desire does not guarantee surrender. A person can look at you and feel something powerful while still choosing distance. She can want your attention, your presence, your affection, even your love, and still be afraid of what accepting those things would require from her. She can imagine being yours and simultaneously fear losing herself in the process. So if she has ever seemed close enough to touch but impossible to truly reach, understand what made the connection so haunting. It may never have been the absence of desire. It may have been the conflict between desire and self-protection. And perhaps that is why you still remember her. Not because she gave you everything, but because she gave you just enough to make you realize there was something there, and then spent the rest of the time trying to convince herself there wasn't. Sometimes the deepest attraction is not the one that brings two people together immediately. It is the one that forces both people to stand at the edge of something they desperately want, staring at each other, knowing exactly what could happen if one of them finally stopped being afraid. And sometimes, long after the moment has passed, you realize the hardest woman to have was never necessarily the woman who did not want you. She may have been the woman who wanted you enough to be afraid of what would happen if she finally let herself have you.